Alright, welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner Classic, non-classic. This is episode number 1642 and Doubleshot number 1536. I have two DC trades. One, they're both kind of crossover trades in a way, but the first one is mostly Aftermath stuff. This is War of the Green Lanterns Aftermath. This contains the final issues. This contains the two-issue miniseries War of Green Lanterns Aftermath, which is 2 issues. The final 3 issues of Green Lantern Warriors, which is issues 11 to 13, and also contains the final 3 issues of Green Lantern Corps Volume 2, issue 61 to 63. Now, the War of Green Lantern Aftermath. All this is simply dealing with the after effects of War of Green Lanterns, how Jordan's managed Earth, and aside from that brief scene, he is mentioned several times, never seen ever again. And a lot of this book is pure setup for, pretty much most everything going forward. In the case of Sinestro, who got a ring at the end of War of Green Lanterns, they want to get the ring off him, but he's had to stay, but he has to basically force to stay, and then his stuff is explored in Green Lanterns Volume 5. And we also have the introduction to the Alpha Lanterns. The Alpha Lanterns are the internal affairs of the Green Lantern Corps, and they're there just to set up Green Lantern Corps Volume 3. Now, there's also stuff with Ganthet, basically, where he reacts St. Walker. St. Walker gets a chance to help him regrow his hand thanks to his own love. And then the other Guardians show up and says, apparently there's a rule where no non-Green Lanterns are not allowed on the world. On Oa. Which, that sounds like utter bullcrap. Yeah. So he leaves because technically St. Walker's person he works for is in fact Ganthet. And later on I see Ganthet giving the corpse of Kuroda, the Guardian who got killed off during War of Green Lanterns, gives to Atrocitus, and that leads into Red Lanterns number 1, and then he turns around, and then something bad is happening to him thanks to the Guardians. What is that there for? Seb Green Lantern New Guardians. That's literally the whole reason that's there. Kyle Rayner shows up in this book completely random. Yeah, his appearance, it's there, per se. He gets some stuff explored over in New Guardians. Surprisingly, the only human Green Lantern who does nothing in this book is John Stewart, aside from yelling at the Guardians for their bullcrap nonsense for, firing Hal Jordan for daring to kill a Guardian who went frickin' nuts. Because they would not dare to kill one of their own, so Hal's like, I'll kill him. And he got fired for it. Yeah. And we also do this thing where apparently, because Sinestro is a Green Lantern, and again, despite the fact everybody hates him, nobody likes it, there apparently was, get this, according to Senec, he's the Green Lantern administrator, there apparently was a lot of resignations because no one wanted to work with a traitor like Sinestro. And they all were declined. Though Guy Gardner was able to resign a little bit later during the event to rise Third Army, no problem. Yeah. But in the case of this, aside from that, it's a pretty good miniseries what it is. Now, as in the case of the other books. Now, in the case of Green Lantern Corps, this one has a little bit of setup for the relaunch. For example, Polkadot, who is one of the Green Lanterns, she becomes one of the Alpha Lanterns. You can explore her backstory. Yeah, it's a little bit of setup for the relaunch, but that's simply it. Emerald Warriors doesn't feel like it's set for a relaunch at all. Excuse me. For this, it's back to business. Where it's basically the first 2 issues is simply Guy Gardner trying to escort a beautiful alien woman off to some place, and then she kisses him, and then apparently kills him, though he gets revived, because apparently she wanted to kill him for his powering, and it turns out that the person that he kissed was actually an imposter, and it took him down. The final issue is basically a crime story, or basically Guy Gardner is brought to a space station, who is, well, get this, apparently at the crime scene is none other than frickin' Batman. Yep, Batman is here in his only appearance in the entirety of the Green Lantern Corps Emerald Warrior series. Yeah, the final issue. Now, I forgot, before I continue, who writes this stuff, basically? Now, Warrior Green Lanterns Aftermath From what I can tell, the 2-issue miniseries is done by Tony Bedard, who ends up writing Green Lantern Guardians. He's the first writer for it, for the first 20 issues for half Justin Jordan. He apparently is also the writer for the Green Lantern Corps issues, despite the fact at the time prior to this was Peter Tomasi writing it. Yep. But the final issue, issue 63, is not done by Tony Bedard. This is done by Scott Nolans. And it has 4 artists in this final issue. You have Joe Perito, Scott Nolans himself, get a chance to draw some issues, and Freddie Williams II, and Daniel H.R. Yep. Now, in the case of what happens in War Green Lanterns, this one, not War Green Lanterns, in the case of Emerald Warriors, in the case of the first couple issues in here, I believe it's done by Tomasi. Let's see. I don't know what the final issue is done by him or not. Let me take a look here. Yep. Tomasi does the... Basically, Tomasi, the only thing he does is War Green Lanterns. He does not do Green Lantern Corps, which he was writing at that point. He came in occasionally for... He wrote a lot of Volume 2, but not the entirety of it. The artwork is mostly not only done by Scott Nolans, the artist's name, also Miguel Sabati, Tyler Kirkham, who I met, Ransom Giddy, Andy Smith, Bernard Chang, Chris Batista, Ron Fritz, Britt Bat, that's Matt Benning, Scott Hanna, Jay Liston, Cam Smith, Keith Campaign, Tom Nugent, Mark Aquinas, Steve Barr, John Nitton, Mark Deering. The cover is done by Dave Johnson. I gotta say, for the Aftermath stuff, it's pretty good, but all it is just there. It's just set up what's going to happen next. And my final thoughts on the Green Lantern Warrior series, it's a good series. My only guess is the reason why they threw the final 3 issues of that series in this trade instead of, putting in the original trade that the series had. This is my personal guess, because it was already released, and they figured out, oh crap, we have the final 3 issues, we got to put this in place. Let's put in this trade. Okay? Yeah, my guess is probably the reason why I did it. It's shocking, though, that at the time these issues were coming out, that Green Lantern Volume 5 had just wrapped, Volume 4 just wrapped up, and here we just had the final 3 issues of basically 2 series. One gets replaced by New Guardians. Yeah, I believe this one got replaced by Green Lantern New Guardians, and the other one got relaunched #1. Yeah, and here's the thing: I reviewed all those books already, and I have if anyone wants to hear my thoughts on those particular 4 series, check out my previous episode. You have to look. It would take a while, but I think you should be able to find no problem. All right, next up is Day of Vengeance. Yep, this crossover came out in 2005, roughly 1 year before Infinite Crisis. Yep, it's of course part of the countdown to Infinite Crisis. Now, in the case, what happens here? First, we have Lightning Strikes Twice. It's a crossover between the 3 Superman books at that point, which was Superman Volume 2, Superman Volume 2, 216, Avengers Superman 639, and Action Comics 826. Mostly put for this one, it kind of in a way loosely sets up the events of this miniseries and some kind of later. We have this crossover here because we return to Eclipso, who possesses a woman who takes control of a LexCorp robot to attack Superman, though this Diamond would then later briefly possess Lois Lane. And it moves over, and then basically after this, throughout the story, it goes to Superman briefly, where Shazam, Captain Marvel had to basically free Superman from the control, and then the Diamond flew off, ended up at Arkham Asylum, and Jean Loring is now the Eclipso. She remains Eclipso for the next 2 years. You are wondering, why the heck was Jean Loring in Arkham Asylum? Read Identity Crisis. It's by far one of the most baffling things Brad Millet's ever did with the character. In the case of Day of Vengeance, mostly we just have the Spectre going on a rampage because he has no host anymore. Yeah, prior to this, Hal Jordan was the host of the Spectre, and the Spectre abandoned him, basically leading him to be resurrected at the start of Green Lantern Rebirth, the miniseries. And you can kind of say this miniseries is basically here just to set up a brand new ongoing series, Shadow Pact. Now, I love what they did here. Now, this is of course written by Bill Willingham, who later on would actually write Shadow Pact. Shadow Pact would last for about 30 issues before getting canceled. Don't know why it got canceled, but it did. Yes, and they bring it to a character like Ragman, Enchantress, who at one point, get this, gets a chance to kiss the Enchantress. And she says to him, don't do that again. And then, of course, she basically just says, "Aw, Ragman kissed me." And, of course, later on, she gets a pat in the cheek from Blue Devil. Yes, Blue Devil. We also have Nightshade. Yeah, we also have Black Alice show up in here, who, get this, she thinks Nightshade is a hooker based upon she's dressed. And according to Black Alice's father, like, no, she's a superhero. Yeah, as far as I can tell, this is Black Alice, which I think is so funny. Yeah, Black Alice. Yeah, she's a character Gail Simone created just prior to this. Yeah, she's not around very long. Yeah, she's a Gail Simone character who has actually appeared recently in the Secret 6 series. Yep. This, I believe, was her first appearance since the appearance of Birds of Prey. Now, in the case of Shadow Pact, oh yeah, it was 25 issues. I'm sorry about that. Yes. Now, Bill Willingham was generally the writer of this series. Yeah, despite the fact at the time, I think he was also writing Fables at this point. Yes, I believe he was. Yeah, he wrote Fables for a long time. Oh my gosh. Like, he wrote Fables. Yeah, just a few years prior to this. He was working on this at the same time as a few other books. Sorry about that. Yep. Shadow Pact, I recommend checking the series. Is really good. Yep. Now, mostly put these are your founding members: Blue Devil, Ragman, Enchantress, the Nightmaster, Nightshade, and Detective Chimp. Of course, we would have a version of this group in the current continuity. It's called Justice League Dark. Yep. Now, Nightmaster, he has been around since the late 60s. He's a creation of Denny O'Neil. You thinking, really? Denny O'Neil created Nightmaster? Yeah, he did. Detective Chimp? What's created by Carmine Infantino? Neil Adams, big fan of this character. When I spoke to him about Detective Chimp, when I mentioned that Man-Bat was part of Justice League Dark, he was actually more interested, he was more excited about the fact that Detective Chimp was part of that group. Nightshade is a Steve Ditko character. Yep, Steve created her. Blue Devil, I believe, was a Jerry Conway character. No, it was actually Gary Cohen, Dan Miskin, and Paul Cohen. It's basically first period pages of Firestorm. And the Ragman is a creation of Robert Carnature and Joe Kubert. Joe Kubert, in case you don't know who this guy is, he's the father of the brother duo Andy and Adam Kubert. He's the father of those two. And basically, he's a first-generation artist, and his sons picked up the work. As far as I can tell for those two, they are 2 of 3 second-generation artists that I have heard of. The other, of course, being John Romita Jr. They adventure stuff, it's just pure fun, supernatural stuff for DC Universe. And you might think, okay, does it involve like Superman, Batman, this Wonder Woman involved with this? Surprisingly, no. But yeah, it's like Superman's involvement once the lightning strikes wraps up. It's like, okay, let's just basically focus on these new characters. By the way, here's Gene Lorien as Eclipso. Very good artwork here. The Bill Willingham along with Joe Winnick. I believe Winnick wrote the Superman issues, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, with Ian Churchill on the artwork. Yep. The other artists in here are this one. I like the newer trades. It doesn't exactly list exactly who the artist is. You have to look up in the actual book itself. By the way, the Enchantress is drawn to be very beautiful. If you're curious to who created the Enchantress, Bob Hale, as the same guy who created the Teen Titans and Metamorpho. Yep. And yes, I do know about the live-action version. That was not that good. I've heard this version better with the pointy hat. We even have a 2-page spread you turn on the side. Yes, some book creators artists would do this. Yeah, they even note in notes later on we have cameos by very famous superheroes, especially at this the Oblivion bar, which I believe this bar did make an appearance in the current continuity. It brought this bar back. We see cameos in the background by, let's see, we have Animal-Man. Yeah, that's him right there. That's Animal-Man. Yeah, it's pointed out though by, I think it was the artist who actually has notes basically when it comes to this particular scene. Okay, at the Oblivion bar, the first panel we had Timothy Raven, some unnamed people, Jim Rook, Nightshade, Animal-Man, Claw the Unconquered, the one holding the drink, Vixen. Second panel was Black Orchid, Deadman, Jason Blade, and Babu. Yeah, this is the first panel. Yeah, Babu. Third panel, which is this one down here, that's Andrew Bennett, a.k.a. iVampire, along with Dr. Colt, Black Orchid, Deadman, Zurel, over the golden helmet, and El Burrito. On this next page here, on the page 18 second panel, it is Jennifer Morgan, Jim Rook, and Mongrel. We also have Ragman, Enchantress, and the Ghost Patrol. Fifth panel, which is probably this one down here, is mostly Vixen, Animal-Man, Nightshade, Aaron, Val of the Iron Maiden, and Freedom Beast. Yeah. So it's basically, you can kind of think of it as Bill Willingham do a love letter to a lot of the DC supernatural characters. And nowadays, if you think any supernatural, the first big name character comes to mind, who was not John Constantine or Zatanna, is Wonder Woman. Excuse me. That's some people do usually put to mind. Like, do people think of the Phantom Stranger? Kind of, yes. Spectre, oh yes, people do know the Spectre. Especially as he's created by the same guy who created Superman. Captain Marvel, yes, people do know about him. Plus, it's just to his movie that came out, I think it was about 2 or 3 years ago. I still haven't seen it yet, but I heard it's really good. But this book is just pure fun. Now, this book is one of the books I got when I was in New York. And I love this. This is actually really good. I give this book a 9.5 out of 10. Is it better than what for the War Granther stuff? Yes, definitely. Because that, even though that is set up for something, that's not set up for a relaunch per se. It's set up for an ongoing series, which I have reviewed one of the trades for. Check it out. Don't remember what episode it was, but I have reviewed one of the trades for. But this was just pure fun. I love reviewing these miniseries from DC from the 2000s. They're just pure fun. Bill Willingham is one of my favorite writers, who is not one of the big name writers like Greg Rucka, Jeff Johns. Basically, he's one of the non-really big name writers. Now, if you ask basically a comic book fan, well, he's a casual one, if you ask about Bill Willingham, they won't have any idea who he is. Like if you ask about Jeff Johns, Jason Aaron, Greg Rucka, Scott Snyder, James Tynion. Yeah, people know who those guys are. Bill Willingham, people will think like, who is that? He's the guy who did Fables. Like, oh, that really good series. He did that? Yes, he also worked on the Batman issues that tie into War Games. And he had a brief run on Robin. He was also one causing to basically have Tim Drake briefly retire. Oh, that guy. Yeah, he's not a name that usually comes to mind for a lot of people, but he is a damn good writer. I do recommend checking out his work. It's fantastic. Heck, I've even read a novel he wrote. Yes, Bill Willingham wrote a freaking novel focused on let's see. It was a pastiche novel, which I have read, which is really good, by the way. It is Jack and something. It's part of the Fables franchise. Yeah, it's by far the only novel associated with that one. Yes. Okay, it's called Peter and Max. Yes, it is the only novel set in this time period. That's actually canon. Yes, and it's written by Bill Willingham. He wrote it. Which today, I believe this is his only novel he ever wrote. I read it. It's really good. And like I said, check it out. It's really good. The last book it came out with was Lark's Killer for First Comic, which came out about 3 years ago. But yes, that was his most recent work he worked on. Nothing recently that I can think of. No. I haven't really think for him lately, per se. Yeah, nothing recently I can think of that he's come out with that he's been working on. But I do recommend checking his books out because they're good. I never crossed a bad Bill Willingham book. Not really, no. And you might be asking, aside from Fables and this book, is there any other book I have reviewed that he's worked on? Just Society America. Yep, he was one who caused the team to split. I have reviewed that. Yes, and of course, War Games, and he had a brief run on Robin, lasted for about a couple years. But he's definitely one writer I would love to read more stuff from him. Yep. So yeah, that's a particular review. Stay tuned for more videos today, okay? Next video. Bye.